Good morning. For those of you who are on live on our Zoom, I thought this photo of the cattails and the haze in the distance was appropriate for probably sad reasons, with the wildfires burning in Canada and bringing some of that haze down into southeastern Wisconsin. The only good part of that, if there could be, or maybe there's more than one good part, the sunrise and sunset has been pretty phenomenal. The sky's been on fire also. And wildfires can be pretty devastating. I study with a group in Los Angeles, and many of those folks were affected by the wildfires in California that were blazing for, I don't even remember how long, it seemed like weeks. And one of my teachers was displaced. She lives in Topanga, California. So my heart goes out to the people, the pets. Like, there's so many pets who are displaced as a result of wildfires. It doesn't always come to front of mind. I can't imagine what it would be like to be separated from a pet. And then all of Mother Earth. You know, I know and I'm not an ecologist, so I don't really want to get into like the pros and cons of it. But what I do know is that fire can sometimes be healing when it burns through a lot of the brush and, you know, paves way for new life. But I just can't help but think about all of the devastation for the animals, especially this time of year. And I recently moved, and there's two garden boxes on my kitchen windows, and they're pretty dilapidated and they're falling over, and I was going to replace them. But a mourning dove created a little nest there, and her babies hatched. I saw the shells today, and she and I have gotten pretty close. You know, she hated me at first, but now she's a little less worried about what I'm doing there. I'll upgrade her boxes someday when she's moved her babies elsewhere. But anyway, I can't help but think about all of the loss from these wildfires, all of the loss from what's going on in Palestine, all of the loss that's going on in Ukraine, all of the loss that's here. So just a tender little moment to connect to, as always, what we arrive to our practice with, and that's what I'm arriving with. So, fair warning, today we're continuing our study of the Eightfold Path, where we've been. Always helpful for me to talk about where we've been so that we can orient ourselves to where we're going. We started with right speech and how we talk to ourselves, how we talk to others. Right action, those moment-to-moment instances where we're making choices, hopefully that align with skillful means, our highest good. And then right livelihood, how all of those individual actions start to manifest in larger seasons of our life. How that shows up in the careers we choose or careers we change, how we show up in relationships. Excuse me. So those are pretty big. I like to practice in a way that goes from the largest to the smallest, or in energy work, it's gross to subtle. I just don't love the word gross. So I go think about it as obvious to subtle. I might have to clear my throat a couple of times today. Today we are on right effort. And as is the case a lot of times with the more subtle aspects of our practice, when we get more abstract, for me, I need more metaphor or example to help me understand exactly what it is we're talking about. More, I don't know, context for what it is we're trying to get at. So I have a couple of things I wanted to share this morning, and then we'll have time to be mindful. If I were to distill right effort into a single tangible sentence, this is the energy demanded by a particular task. The energy demanded for any particular task. And this comes from Bhikkhu Bodhi, so they're not my words. It's just the phrasing that made the most sense to me as I started to unpack this Eightfold Path. And as we've studied together, a lot of times things, instances, situations, energy can manifest. It's this arising existence and falling away. Excuse me. And that can result in either wholesome or unwholesome states. Wholesome or unwholesome task orientation, speech, actions, careers, all of those things that we've already talked about. You can think of this as like the raw material, that initial micro fraction of a second even, that energy arises and manifests as wholesome or unwholesome. And those words can be tricky sometimes. You can think of them as positive or negative as well. So energy, a single burst or a drip or a bubbling or percolating can fuel that. Think about the raw material. Energy arising can fuel either aggression, violence, anger, lust, or desire. That raw material, that energy can also, same thing, manifest as kindness, self-discipline, self-respect, kindness, mutual understanding, compassion. So I think about this part of the Eightfold Path as harnessing energy on purpose. Energy is demanded by all of the tasks throughout our day. Right effort is how we harness that energy on purpose. So I'll pause there for a second. I know that in and of itself is quite a bit. Within right effort, there are 4 disciplines. Of course, there's a list. We can use energy to try to prevent those negative or unwholesome states, those states that get in the way of concentration. Or you could think about the defilements that we've already gone through: ill will, desire, dullness, drowsiness, worry, doubt. So you can think about harnessing energy on purpose to step away from or prevent those states from even arising. I can think of an obvious one: doom scrolling on your phone, multitasking, something I struggle with, impeding concentration. Is that the unskilled splitting of attention in very rapid succession. So you can use energy on purpose to try to prevent those unwholesome states. You can use energy to recognize once an unwholesome state arises anyways, regardless of how skillful you've tried to be, to abandon that unwholesome, unskilled, negative state. So when you notice anger arising, can you reorient that energy on purpose? A lot of people with anger issues, I don't have them, but punching bag, going for a run, doing a power hour. And this is skillful means of orienting strong energy into something that's more skillful. It is not abandoning in the sense that we're burying it or hiding from it. And the last two are somewhat interconnected in my mind. First two focused on unwholesome states, either preventing them or abandoning them. The second two are cultivating skillful, wholesome states. And this is more, to me, about perseverance or continuing a practice that encourages wholesome states. So I mentioned self-discipline. It's all of you who are here right now. We have a beautiful crowd this morning. I love it. Honoring the commitment to what you already know is wholesome. Spending time in practice for yourself and for community. Some of you know too that I've had a difficult path to Sangha, to this spiritual community. I've been a bit of a lone wolf for many of the years of my practice, even feeling shame about being on this path. But once you find these spiritual friends, Anamkara, maybe we'll go into that another time, John O'Donohue, spiritual friends are incredible to help support you in this self-discipline, to support you in your path. And then finally, this last part is the maintenance. Once you support the arising continuously of these wholesome states, we try to maintain them, knowing that we can't fully prevent them unless you're enlightened. Congrats. We know that once they arise, we may have to abandon them, and we can skillfully attempt through self-discipline, through community support, for this energy to continuously be directed on purpose. So I fair warned you that that was a lot. Now, when I offer check-ins in the future and we're talking about how's your energy, hopefully there's a little bit more context on what that means. Is energy being spent on worry? Is energy being spent on doubt, on anxiety? We talked about that in Midday Mindfulness yesterday. Maybe energy is dull, like you can't even feel it. It's just like this numb feeling. So what's here for you? Maybe your energy is already skilled and oriented towards that raw material is getting put into loving kindness or compassion. A little moment here, actually we'll spend quite a bit of time here in figuring out and observing, being mindful of what's here in the energy system. Maybe in these first couple of moments, you're noticing that concentration is difficult. In our mindfulness practice, we orient the mind to singular focus, and today that is on energy. Subtle, maybe difficult. So right energy, harnessing right effort might manifest as the continuous return with kindness rather than anger or frustration. Practice in the moment. Right effort also means that we aren't overexerting ourselves to get to those points of frustration. Work with exactly what you have. That's all you can actually do anyways. So stick with it. And how do you renew your energy? If there's recognition that too much energy is being spent on a particular unwholesome state, for me on Sunday night it was anxiety. Once you recognize that, how do you get out? Maybe unskilled use of energy is that doom scrolling, or eating too much of a particular food, sweets or fats or whatever it might be. The coolest thing about this practice, these practices, is that you build conviction on your own, informed by others, informed by your own experience. We can take note from what society has to offer. Scientists know that too much screen time can be detrimental. We can use that information to inform our own decision. What does too much mean? There's a general need and interest to be connected. Maybe technology makes that easier. That's cool. What is too much for you? For some reason, when I open a bag of red licorice, that dang Australian red licorice, that's so freaking good. I know it's gonna make me feel like crap, but I can't help but eat the entire bag. I'm working on it. It's unskilled. I see it. History has told me that it's not gonna make me feel good. Maybe Sangha can help. Another interesting part of this, if you're open to hearing it, is sensual desire. Some faith traditions will inform that sex must wait until marriage with one committed partner. And in some Buddhist traditions, it doesn't matter if marriage exists, as long as there are two consenting partners who know what they're getting into, it's fine. Some Buddhists choose to abstain completely so that there's no risk of hurting self or hurting others in the act of sex. Again, these are all just pieces of information so that you choose how you want to spend your energy and develop what skillfulness means to you. Societies usually group together what's acceptable and not acceptable. You don't have to subscribe to that. You can. That's where this last part of our practice comes in with right effort. It's the maintenance of a wholesome state, as defined by you, informed likely by others. Conviction and agency comes from experience. We must persevere in this pursuit. We'll be unskilled along the way. Obviously, licorice is my persistent, unskilled action. Many others too. In these last few moments together, how can you harness your energy in a tangible way today? Maybe even this morning. Maybe when we depart, it's something skillful that you can do with your energy, like not picking up your phone, picking something healthy for breakfast, going outside and looking at the sun, exhibiting loving kindness to what it is you're carrying. As always, that's where this practice becomes real. Outside of this heavily constructed experience. It's out there in our lived experience. And it can be silly, like taking the licorice out of my cart in my Target app. It can be reaching out to a Sangha member on WhatsApp or text. If it serves you to close practice with hands at heart center, that is always a beautiful invitation. Slight tuck of the chin to the chest. It's a posture of humble reverence. Choosing our right energy on purpose. The merits of this practice are of benefit to all sentient beings. May it be so. Include yourself in the circle of compassion today. Thanks so much for practice this morning. Have a great rest of your day.